Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trudy LPC, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. When I tell you guys, you are really in for a treat this week. I have with me an amazing person. I can't wait for her to share her story so that you can learn a little bit more about her experience and how it led her to becoming a natural therapeutic specialist. She is also an author, and she is going to share a lot about her experience as an author and the things that she writes about in her artistic expression. And she is also a licensed massage therapist, and I can't wait to hear more about that part of her journey as well. Her name is Cheyanna Donaldson, and I'm really excited to talk to her today. So without further ado, please welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Cheyanna Donaldson. Hey, Cheyanna, how's it going today?
Hi, it's good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm really excited to talk with you and learn more about what you do. Now, the title that you do, I've not heard too much about, so I'm really interested in learning along with the audience about what that is and how you got into it. But before we go there, please, let's just start out by having you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am an Iowa native and grew up, born and raised there. I grew up in the Mormon church in a very small town in Iowa. Started out, that town still doesn't have Union, Iowa. It still doesn't even have 400 people. It was really rural. And then we moved to a slightly larger town, which has 1,300 people. So, as a kid, I felt pretty squashed and just that I needed to fit a certain mold. And, it's a predominantly white, area of the world, right? And all of the culture that comes with that. So I, as a kid, really wanted to just expand my own culture and getting to know everything. So I spent a lot of time in the library and just researching, because my mom was big on if you don't know something, go look it up. And so I did. I looked up everything. And probably much to her dismay, right? But I love learning. So I spent a majority of my life just trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. I went to Iowa State University and studied mostly stuff in the humanities, psychology and world religions and philosophy. And I got to take a lot of writing classes, and that was great. And then tell about me. I feel like I've lived 10 different lives in this short 38 years. But I moved to Hawaii for a year and a half. I moved there with my son's dad. Beautiful, love it there. It was hard for me to find a career that I could really stick to, because I was in that funny place where I had a bachelor's degree, so I'm overqualified for some jobs, and then didn't have a master's, underqualified for others that I wanted to get. So I decided to move back. When I moved back, I started having all these weird breakouts along my jawline. Apparently, if you go to visit tropical areas, you can get a fungal infection that sits in your jawline, which grossed me out to no end. Wow. Took an antibiotic, ended up being allergic to that antibiotic. It totally wrecked my immune system. I was going to this dermatologist trying to figure out all of these things that I was now allergic to. I was allergic to the color blue. And as a girl who grew up wearing blue jeans, it was just devastating to me. Like, I would break out in hives along the seams of it. So started going to this dermatologist, found out she saw like a mole on my chest, took it off. It came back melanoma. That kind of like jump started my whole like natural therapeutics career. I ended up moving to New Mexico. I wanted to be in a medical cannabis state, and I didn't want to move to Colorado or California. Not my vibes. I loved Albuquerque. It was like the right kind of like biker ghetto that I just like loved. And the city is so much fun. It's like, I think everyone has mixed reviews of Albuquerque. It can be really hard. It really can, but it's a beautiful state. Like, I just love it here. So then I found the New Mexico School of Natural Therapeutics. Big, like, fills up your mouth, that whole thing. But learned so much there from all of my teachers. It was really amazing. And, you know, with any education, it's like whatever you're going to make of it. So there's a lot of people that went to that school and probably didn't get out of it the same things that I did, but where I was at in my spiritual journey, trying to figure out like, okay, I'm 26 and I have melanoma. Like, so it was weird, like going into the cancer center, you know, and you've got all these older people sitting around you, looking at you like, you don't look sick. You don't look, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm like a baby here trying to figure out like what's going on. So it just kind of jump started everything for me. And, from there, it's just been like a crazy, like 15 years of all sorts of things. So.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a journey, a lot within a 15 years time span. But just thinking about dealing with that at 26, like discovering that you're having to deal with this cancerous kind of thing, and then it all starting from going to see a dermatologist because you had a fungal kind of infection. Like that's a lot to wrap your head around.
It was weird too, because now there's like tons of things that I can't use. It was kind of like the push that I needed into like just using more natural products. And I think I always had an interest in it, but this was like a very aggressive shove into that. Like, you can't use any of these soaps and lotions and everything else that you've been using your whole life. And so it was an awakening.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And you know, that part of your journey, I know, is kind of the later part of your journey. I mean, it's still early because you're still very young for sure. But when it comes to like some of the other things that you've kind of experienced in your life, how do they all kind of tie in to maybe things from your past?
The just finding out that I had melanoma.
Yeah, just the journeys. You said that you kind of got on this journey because of that. Are there any other things from your past that led you down this natural kind of path?
I think I always had a connection with the natural world. Like, I always preferred to be out, you know, in the forest or just amongst trees. Like, I was definitely a kid that could just sit and read forever in the grass. And if I got bored, I could just turn over and just like watch the bugs crawl in the grass. Like, that was just, you know, part of the journey, and like the thing that I was most comfortable doing. I found out later, actually, just like, so I got rear-ended by a truck like end of December. Ended up having a bunch of headache and eye visual issues. Like, I couldn't turn my head. I'd have to close my eyes if I wanted to turn and look in either direction. Otherwise, you know, vertigo. And found out that I took an EEG, and they told me that I'm autistic, which I just like, oh, okay. I suspected. I like sat on the outside watching, like, I think I do that stuff as well. And actually, I watched a podcast that you had, an interview that you had done with a psychologist, and he had talked about how, you know, finding out later in life, you just realize all these things about yourself that you thought you were so weird and like really introverted and just had all these like funny little quirks, and then finding out that these are normal amongst your autistic community. Like this is a thing you do. So, you know, I always suspected it, and trying to like discover those parts of myself. I felt like when you get diagnosed with something at an early age, like there's a whole bunch of things that come at you, right?
Right.
People are wanting to take care of you. Everyone else's like triggers and traumas are coming at you. It was a really fast process for me, because the dermatologist, she took the mole off. It came back melanoma. She was really great. She said, don't worry about it. You know, I've got you set up for surgery in 2 weeks. And didn't even feel like I really had a chance to process everything. It took me years to just process everything myself, because I felt like I had to hold it together for the people around me so that their trauma, their triggers of this, like didn't consume too much of them. And so that was a hard process, because it took me years to just feel like I could process my cancer on my own.
To kind of go back to a piece of what you said around like coming to like realize that you were on the spectrum later in life, and the impact that had, was that a part of like, were you on a therapeutic journey when you discovered this about yourself, or what was that? Like, how did you get to that place of like discovering that? Were you in therapy, or have you sought therapy before?
Oh yeah. I've been in therapy for as long as I can remember. I've actually been with my therapist for like 9 years, and we were laughing at like all of the things that she's seen me through, you know, all of the different relationships and just motherhood and all of that coming together. It was a lot. I guess I didn't realize I was on a spiritual journey until I was like already in it, and then realized like, oh, that's what this is. This is, I feel like I've just been wandering through this path, trying to figure out where I'm going. And all of a sudden, one day it was just a light bulb clicked on, and I realized that I needed to dive a little bit more into just natural therapeutics and like what I can do. What is something that I can do to help myself every day? And I didn't even realize that I'd been doing these things automatically, just little things here and there, breathing exercises, or trying to take myself away from a situation, or just little things here and there that I realized like I was already on the path without realizing that I was on the path. And so it was validating and inspiring that I just needed to trust my instincts more and not listen to what I should be doing. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah. So 9 years is a long time to kind of spend with a therapist. And I love that for you, because sometimes people struggle so much with finding the right fit for a therapist and being able to kind of connect. What kind of initially drew you to seek therapy? Was it the cancer diagnosis, or were there other things that played that led you to want to go see a therapist?
Oh, no, I think I've been, gosh, I don't even remember the earliest age that I got into therapy. It was probably early in college. And I think that my university, I went to Iowa State University in their research school. So you can do, it's like a graduate clinic, and you can go in and like talk to a therapist there. They have them like at the university so that they can get their clinic hours and I think that was probably the first time that I had gone in. I've been with a number of therapists before I found the right one. I mean, it's kind of like dating, right? Like you'll go through and you're like, okay, this is not, I don't think we quite mesh. This is not like working for me. But most of it was, I went for my family issues that I was having and just my upbringing, because I never felt like the Mormon church, I never felt like I fit in. I was always a black sheep, always questioning things, always told to stop questioning things and to just move along with the crowd, which never sat well with me. It just, I wanted to know why do we do these things? Why does this? And so I had so much internal struggle trying to figure out who I was, especially when you're told from such a young age to just be quiet and stop asking so many questions and just sit there. And I hated that. So I just have always thought therapy and seeking out a professional that can help guide you with some of your thought processes is such a good idea. I don't understand the people that don't believe in therapy. I don't get it. But hey, each to their, right?
Yeah.
And stop asking so many questions and just sit there. And I hated that. So I just have always thought therapy and seeking out a professional that can help guide you with some of your thought processes is such a good idea. I don't understand the people that don't believe in therapy. I don't get it. But hey, each to their, right?
Yeah,
So.
For sure. So religious, like the religious component of kind of growing up in the Mormon church and not fitting in is sounds like what led you to pursue therapy, is to gain a better understanding of yourself. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to figure out why I was having all of these thought processes, and it didn't seem like anyone else around me was. So that aspect, like, I definitely noticed aspects of my upbringing in later in life that hadn't quite connected, right? So
Gotcha.
kind of still on that process, like realizing, oh, that's why I did that, because now that I'm, finding out that I'm autistic, I see that I did that because that's just how my brain worked. It wasn't because I was weird or, just like didn't fit in. My brain is just functioning different than others. So.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like our brains are like, I know that we use the term neurodivergent for, anything that's outside of the normative kind of way we think of the brain in terms of how it works. And it sounds like there were a lot of things that you're noticing about yourself now that it was always kind of present for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to navigating through life, like, are there still things from your childhood that still kind of like show up in your current life?
Oh yeah. Especially as I'm trying to raise a little boy. My son he'll be 11 in August. I always joke that he's like an 85-year-old man trapped in like a 10-year-old's body. He's just wise beyond his years and really likes older things that like you would expect older people to enjoy more. But through raising him, I have found, different things will pop up that I didn't even realize were sitting in the back of my mind or were an issue at one point. And then, you've got this kid that you're trying to just not fuck up and hope that he has like different things that he needs to be in therapy for than you have been in therapy for, and trying to just let him be himself. And that was one thing that I struggled with, was that when I was a kid, I needed to fit in this box, right?
Yeah.
That's what was expected. And you almost don't even realize as an adult, like, you have this freedom, but you still keep yourself in this box unintentionally. And so when I went through my natural therapeutics training, all of this stuff came up, all this energy work that was happening. And I'm like, what is going on? None of this makes any sense to me, but I can feel it. I can feel things releasing. I can feel, myself like realizing, having these like new thoughts, and just had to go with it. Had to like pick a different route than I had as a kid, instead of like retraining myself, instead of shrinking back into the box. We know it's comfortable, but in body work, we learn that you become comfortable in your pain. So I always try to tell my students, when people go and get a massage and then they tell you afterwards that, like, I was in pain that day, I was really, really sore the next day. That's unfortunately totally normal. We get comfortable in our pain. We don't want to actually move out of it. We do. Our brain wants to, because it doesn't feel good. And at some point, like, our body's going to break, right? Like, it's trying to get out. It's trying to tell you. And like, the body's only language is feeling, is, touch and sensation. So it's trying to tell you that it doesn't like being here. And, emotions will store in your body as well. And then they will start to corrode things if they're not released. And so that process has been ongoing. And, I've had a lot of moments where I'm just laughing at myself, and a lot of moments of shame, and a lot of moments of gratitude. It's been like a whole mixed bag of things. So, and I think I'm not sure that I'll really ever stop processing some of that. Like, I don't know if there's like an end to it. And I don't believe that I'll ever be like healed.
Yeah.
But I'm there, healing. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and healing is a lifelong journey for many people. There are very few people that have nothing to work on. I don't think anybody has nothing that they need to work on or work through, but there are some people who believe that about themselves, that they are perfect and that there's nothing that they need to kind of to work on in order to move through life a little bit differently. So I definitely appreciate your healing journey. I wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit, because I know that you have a experience that you shared with me in your kind of pre-show interview about like navigating through narcissism. And I know that that's a hot topic. Do you mind sharing a little bit about like what your experience was like, kind of having to live through life with someone that was dealing with narcissism, and how you kind of moved through that experience?
Yeah. I mean, we use that word like, so, I mean, growing up, I had no idea what a narcissist was. Like, I didn't know that, certain behaviors that my parents had weren't just like normal parental behaviors. So noticing things now, I realize how it was growing up, and then how that has played a part in relationships that I have chosen. For some reason, I've chosen men that are a bit, I always thought it was like a confidence thing and not a narcissism thing, that they just wanted you to do what they wanted you to do. And there's different types, which I didn't realize until my boyfriend died 4 years ago. I witnessed his suicide, and it was like a whole thing, right? Still like working through all of that. And I, at the time, didn't realize that he was also a narcissist. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that there were so many different types of narcissism until I started to really dive into it. And then just like realizing that everything, anytime there was like an emotional upset, it was him playing the victim and all of this like drama and everything that would go on in his life. And it was always these people doing stuff to him. And for some reason, I don't know, like where I was at in that stage of life, that I just wanted to help. I'm a Cancer, so I'm like, by default, I just want to try and help people. And when I know what they could do, I feel like, oh, here, I got this. I can help you out with any of it. And they will have secrets, and really, really dark ones sometimes that they don't tell anybody about. And sometimes you don't find out until it's too late. And just navigating out of those relationships and trying to maintain the person that you are, I feel like that was one of the hardest things I ever did in my whole life. My ex-husband he's a classic narcissist. He is a dictator. You just do what I say. It got worse after we had our son. And I realized that like he was expecting me to be a certain type of mother. And I would just laugh like, I'm what? Like, I thought that we went into this, you thought I was going to change into a different type of person. Like, I'm out. I can't deal with that, Yeah. So then when I started dating my boyfriend who passed, he was totally different, love bomber, just wanted to take care of things, would like clean stuff up for me. And I thought, oh, what are these like sweet things? I've never had anybody like do these sweet things for them. And then all of a sudden it's like 3 years later and you're realizing that you are also like trying to sweep up all of his insecurities and his traumas. And he's like, can you take this? All of my, emotional baggage. Can you just carry it now? Because it's a little heavy for me. And I don't know, just trying to like navigate myself out of that and trying to help my son not make the same mistakes. Yeah. It's been interesting, eventful.
It definitely sounds interesting and eventful. That's a lot. Like, so you've gone through so much in such a short amount of time, like you've gone through surviving cancer to dealing with narcissists, overcoming childhood trauma. Like you've definitely, navigated through a lot. And like you said, I definitely understand when you say that, you'll be on the lifelong kind of healing journey. So is that what you write about? Like, what do you kind of like I saw you have a publishing company and you write, like, can you speak a little bit about what you do through your writing?
I don't write about my trauma. I should, my publisher tells me like, I need to put it together, and I write about it for myself. I haven't figured out how to, just like let my guard down to be vulnerable and share everything that's gone on. Cause I think there was a lot of, like just guilt and shame, cause, I kept going through, and I think this happens with anyone who's like dealt with suicide. Like, what could we have done to fix this, to change it? And then like having to realize like nothing. That was his journey. There was like nothing that I could have done. And then having to deal with the reverse on that, then people look at you like, well, you're not taking any responsibility. It's like, well, it wasn't my life. Right. So having to like not necessarily like have my defenses up all the time, just trying to find that line where I'm being myself and can, be vulnerable, but also like not take on the criticisms that other people are projecting. So I haven't written about a lot of my trauma. I'm working my way there. I write middle school age fantasy fiction novels, and so it's very different. But I've been trying to incorporate a lot of breathing techniques and things that I have just always done as a kid. I wanted to, and not even realize that it was just what I needed at the time, and that worked for me. And so I did it. And now I'm realizing that may also help other children who are trying to figure out, other adults who are trying to figure out how to navigate their anxiety. Yeah. So yeah, I've tried to incorporate some of that. And then just like my love for fantasy and like ancient deities and the whole like quantum realm, and trying to like mesh it all together. So my book is called Pabulum, and it means food for thought. So yeah, it's very nerdy, but
no, what was interesting is when I was doing the pre-show research, I was like, this doesn't look like it's about trauma at all. This looks very interesting. But I was like, maybe I thought I was on the wrong page at first, to be honest with you, when I was doing some of the research. So I really love that you kind of use this fantasy world to help people navigate through their anxiety and help them navigate through life. So that's pretty dope and amazing. So definitely have to make sure you give the information of how to get that when we'll put it in the show notes.
I will. But, yeah. Thank you.
So I want to ask you, I know you wanted to come on this show and express and talk through things and share a little bit about your story. I want to know, how do you personally connect with the idea of being self-aware and fucked up?
Well, I'm very aware that I'm fucked up. I'm aware of my baggage. I know that it's there. I know what I need to do. I don't always want to, or like when you can see something from a distance, but you're not really sure which path. Maybe there's many, maybe some of them are scarier than others. Which one do I take? Which one's going to be the right one? And then you just go into that like panic where I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit right here and I'm just going to stay here because this is comfortable. So I know that I'm fucked up in that process, that like I can't figure out where I go with some of this. And being self-aware and knowing that you can't just stay here. Like, this is not going to, I guess you could, but like I hear the universe like, ew, really? You're just going to stay here. Like, yeah. Look at where we could go. Like, look at this process, it's going to be beautiful. And I'm like, there's all sorts of thorns. I've got to let like all these defenses I've got to have. Like, why go through that process at all? Like, it's comfortable right here. But I know that that's not the type of thinking that I want to have. I know that that's not, how I want to be an example for my son. I want to be able to really dive through things, and in that process, it's like you just realize more and more that you don't know anything. And I have no idea who am I to like give advice to anyone. I don't know. And I tell my massage students that I'm like, I just have more experience than you. I don't necessarily have more knowledge than you. You're going to go out and study and you just got to get your hands on people in order to like figure out what helps. And I think that the same thing, like I apply to myself, because I just need to have experiences that I really want. I've had a ton of experiences that I didn't want. So how do I push myself into some of these experiences that I really do want? And that I'm just realizing like, oh man, I'm aware that I need to do this, but oh my God, I'm a mess. Like I just am, like there's my ADHD side. Like, I like hear my autism side, like, oh my God, that's such a mess. Like we need to clean that up. And my ADHD is like, but we really just want to read today. Like we really just need to relax. Like the dishes can go, it's fine, So that process, between the two, I'm like, all right.
Gotcha.
We just,
Yeah.
we just do.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing your self-aware and effed up connection. We always wanted to dive into that for sure. So I really want to first say I truly appreciate your time, Cheyanna. I really enjoyed hearing about your story. And I just want you to share with me and the audience, how can they connect with you if they want to purchase your book, if they want to, work with you in massage therapy, get a massage? How can they connect with you if they want to do any of the great things that you do?
Yeah. So my book is through Bootstrap Publications, and their website is just bootstrappublications.com. And then it's /B Donaldson, because that's the pen name that I'm going under. I haven't really been giving massages myself. Like I teach massage at Albuquerque School of Healing Arts. And so you can take classes there, and I supervise the student clinic. So I'm mostly just trying to help other people give massages. After that car accident, I couldn't keep up with the workload in my brain. And I heard the universe tell me that if I really wanted to get into writing, that's what I needed to do. Because I originally started massage therapy to be a supplement to my writing career, and I loved it. So it kind of took over. So now, a decade later, I'm trying to, get off this side quest and veer back to just being an author and trying to make writing the main thing that I do. But I mean, I'm totally biased, but the students at that school are amazing, and they're all really thoughtful, and they are there for their own reasons. And also because they've all been through trauma too, and they want to help other people through it. So, let's see. I also have an Instagram for the book, and it's just pabulum.thebook. And so I've been trying to post, pictures and illustrations there. My amazing illustrator, Emily, she is like, her artwork is so beautiful. So mostly the pictures are of her stuff. And hopefully the book will be out soon. I'm supposed to get a copy of proof 3 and hopefully just sign off on it and be done. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, the information of how you can connect with Cheyanna will be in the description of this episode. Make sure that you guys connect with her, purchase her book, and reach out to her if you need any support. Additionally, please make sure you guys follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.